Well, we'll take this opportunity then to move on to the second question. The second question is somewhat of a continuation of the first. However, we feel that there may be some additional comments that are generated as a result of it. And that question is, what do you hope this committee will accomplish? And what do you think the committee's priorities should be? And as I mentioned, I think that's a little duplicative, but at the same time, we think that there may be some additional comments. Anyone? Councilman, you have another comment you'd like to make?
Well, I can just shout. I do that all day at the high school. I think the committee's purpose should be to have a holistic approach to the area, not just the Corn Palace, as been stated. Thank you. I think the approach should be a holistic approach, a neighborhood approach, if you will, to tourism. And I think that neighborhood extends beyond Main Street. Hopefully there would be a way to incorporate some sort of referral or displays or something that includes the prehistoric Indian village, includes Dakota Discovery, includes the Historical Society, and anything else that would like to be a part of the tourism push. And then, speaking as a member of the City Council, money is an issue. So I would like you to dream big, but I would like you to dream big in a way that could be done in phases, so that maybe we could improve across the street, maybe we could move City Hall, things that could achieve the vision that wouldn't need, let's say, $50 million tomorrow. So that would be my suggestion.
Thank you again, Councilman. Does that spur any comments from anyone else? No? Okay, then we'll move on. Now, the next question deals with what we have and what you'd like to see in the area around it. So the question is, what should stay the same at the Corn Palace and the area around it, and what should change? Councilman?
Greg McCurry, member of the City Council. One thing I would like to see, not just around, but make sure that we really concentrate on moving traffic from the interstate to Main Street. I think it's a problem now because you got 4, 5, 7 ways to get to Main Street. There isn't a straight shot. And so I think that needs to be addressed. Around the Corn Palace, I think you have to look at all of Main Street, and we have to look at options for parking and moving traffic, not just from the Corn Palace, but then extending traffic and down Main Street. I also think there needs to be more green space around the Corn Palace park area, and opportunities for outdoor concerts, events, and things of that nature.
Thank you, Greg. Dave? That's okay.
Just a small little quibble with Greg's comment about traffic clarity. If Deadwood can get people to the graveyard, we can get them to the Corn Palace. It's not rocket science.
Thank you. What are the requirements to have the state A basketball or all the basketball? What is the requirements for the arena, the seating capacity or the size? And why? What would we need to be competitive to get some of those sports in the Corn Palace?
Well, that's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact details to be able to answer that, Wayne. However, I will state this. We recognize the need to expand the seating capacity in whatever we can get out of either an expansion of the current auditorium or the current space or building a new one. However, we also recognize the need to maintain the intimacy that people feel when they come to watch a sporting event within the Corn Palace itself. And so one of the questions that we are asking the group to study is what can we get for seating realistically, rather than have it being dictated by a few events. Keeping in mind, however, that that would be a goal that we'd like to potentially look for in the future.
What would be some of the other venues we'd like to attract? Dart boards? I've heard that dart's a big deal, but I don't know anything about that. But what are other things that we may attract if we had a facility to handle those events?
Well, those are some of the questions that we're hoping to answer. All the dart tournaments, the state youth wrestling tournaments, high school, state tournaments of certain types, all of those things are things that we want to look at to see whether it's feasible to be able to have a facility within the Corn Palace that can handle those types of things. And so those types of venues, I guess, are it's open game.
In this day of budgetary constraints and budgetary concerns, I think, number one, the people of Mitchell are concerned about how we're going to pay for all this. We got some big ideas, but there's a cost associated with all of them. And one of my ideas is we might consider the object of naming rights. We could name the lobby, the arena, the dressing rooms, the concession stand. The Bank X, I'm sure, would give $5 million or $4 million, or Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola might give $1 million or $2 million just to make sure Coca-Cola was just served in the concessions area. Because we got to figure out a way to get these people involved, because a lot of them want to be, but we got to figure out a way to lure them in here.
And I appreciate that, Milton. Thank you for the comment on that. At this point, we'd like to continue to focus on the question at hand: is what would you like to see stay the same, and what would you like to see change? A lot of those questions that are being posed are the questions we're trying to answer with this whole planning process.
Nancy Eric, recent resident of Mitchell, South Dakota. In addition to what Greg was saying in terms of green space, gathering space, and he mentioned something about performing, I would like to stress some space for performing arts. We have many in this city. We can have more because the talent is here. Where to have these events is an issue. I'd like to see that addressed.
Thank you, Nancy. Does anyone have it? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Doug Greenway from Mitchell. What I would like to see changed was increased seating to lure in events that can draw larger numbers to Mitchell and allow us to have concerts and acts that we can, by drawing more people, we can have bigger acts, better acts, which we've had that request. What I would like to see stay the same is the outdoor murals being able to be changed during the summertime and fall. That's a big part of the festival. The corn's matured, we make the murals. I would be willing to sacrifice indoor murals and change how we display and promote the Corn Palace with sacrifice indoor murals for larger seating, leaving the outdoor murals the same, or allowing the outdoor murals to stay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Great, thank you. Okay, let's move on to question number 4. What information would you like to receive from the committee and throughout the planning process regarding the next generation Corn Palace, and what's the best way to get this information to you? Anyone? Does anybody have any comments on that? Is that, Mr. Mitchell?
I don't have a specific hit list, but I think that it's important to be putting stuff out in increments as we go along, including what planning assumptions are being made. and what alternate images are being presented. I'm pleased to hear the consultants say that their proposal is to present a number of possible alternatives rather than simply the single best plan, up or down. But I think incremental informing, including pictures and things like that, are helpful so people feel like they know what's going on. And if they have some comments, they can make them. But if you all wait to the end and then it suddenly drops on people like, here it is, folks, you're going to get negative reactions.
And thank you for those comments, Dave. We recognize that, and we certainly are very cognizant of the fact that people need to have information to be able to process the whole planning process, and we want it to be everyone's plan.
Yeah, I would just like to re-echo what Dave said. I think it's important at various stages of the process to have a report, and I guess this is what I would suggest. I would suggest having regular reports to the City Council. The press will cover that. I would suggest having regular meetings with, doesn't necessarily have to be these fellas, but maybe you, Doug, or somebody else on the committee, having regular meetings with the editorial board of the Daily Republic, and then making those drawings or whatever available. Then there's a variety of radio opportunities. We've got KORN here right now, Talk of the Town. There are ways to do that. And I would also encourage, I've been at these things too, and you look out at the numbers and you go, oh my goodness, this is discouraging. But all of us are going to talk to a number of people who are going to talk to more people who are going to talk to more people. And I know I was late tonight because I was just getting off of work, but I would suggest having more of these meetings because the complaint about recent civic events or attempts has been exactly what Dave said. You started this out, you kept it secret, you plopped it on us at the end, and there was no opportunity for public input, there was no public information. And even if you don't have a lot of people show up, you can say, look, we had a public meeting on such and such a date, we were on Talk of the Town on such and such a date, we were at the City Council at such and such a date. If you didn't avail yourself of one of these opportunities, I guess that's too bad. But people need to have those opportunities even if they choose to miss them.
We would agree with you on that, Councilman, and thank you. Just for some of your information, we have received a number of responses via email, and those of you who are maybe just not comfortable sharing here in a public forum, and or for those people who are watching or listening, feel free to submit your comments and ideas to us through the internet. It can be emailed to what, Hannah?
There's a mic. You can do it. You can email those to us down at the chamber, CVB, Convention Visitors Bureau, at visitmitchell.com. Otherwise, you can also mail those to us in the good old-fashioned mail, 601 North Main Street.
Thank you, Hannah. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Lori Holmberg, and I would just like to reiterate as far as getting the information out to people. The newspaper is great, the radios are great, the stations, and any print media available, but I, for one, am a true internet junkie, and I really kind of miss off on a lot of things unless I happen to get it dropped in my email box, or if there's a notice comes out of, check out what's going on now, go to www something, and then I'll check it out, of possibly having, a small component either on the city site or the Corn Palace site, kind of tracking the developments of this project as well. And then if people have comments or wherever, how to submit those via that too.